composite propeller blades. You can ask her sometimes.
No, yeah, I'll see her tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
well, it looks like we have a few people waking up. Hello,
Yeah.
Michael.
Hello.
How
See
are
if I
you?
can get my actual face here.
I don't know. Can we vote?
uh,
I have a pretty bell.
yeah, I'm trying to remember where this is from.
Yeah.
Might be the Berkeley campus.
It's good. It's good picture.
Yeah, I don't ever know about my bandwidth for internet. So if I turn the video off, then it streams the audio much clearer with better clarity and no delays.
Hi, Katie.
Hello, how are you, Mark?
I am just peachy. How are you?
Doing okay.
Hi, Lois.
Lois is still muted. There she goes.
Hi, Mark.
Hello there.
Trying to figure out how to, oh, I can get my video going too, I guess, here. There.
There she is.
Yeah. There.
Esquire Imholt. Is he joining us? Maybe not yet.
I see he's
Oh, there we go.
there. Oh,
Woohoo!
yeah.
Hello.
Thanks, Sam.
Can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay.
How are
Hey,
you?
Max.
Hey, Mark.
You got to quit meeting like this.
Yeah, same with Lois.
Welcome back, Sam.
Thank you.
Hi, Sam. How's the
Hello.
babies?
They're good. They're quickly growing,
Great.
moving around on the floor. It's great.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah,
More
Excellent,
importantly,
excellent.
how's their sister holding up?
She's good. She's testing our patients. She's good. She loves them. We just have to keep her busy.
Yes, nice, good, very good. All right, I know Jackie said she's probably going to join us, but be a little bit late. And let's see. Yeah, we're missing a few still. Hopefully we'll see Charlie and Jim.
There's
There he
Charlie.
is.
Charlie's on vacation. I don't know if he was planning to call in, but they're in
He's
Florida.
here.
You just have to say his name and he appears.
Oh,
Boom.
Not so easy.
Afternoon, Charlie.
Oh, doesn't that look nice?
yeah.
Yes, it does.
And Charlie's not bad either. I mean, it's just, you know, his backdrop looked a little inviting.
A lot better than I am. Yes.
And what are those green things behind you?
Exactly. How would you be able to recognize anything green after all winter?
We just have brown. We just got brown. Do we know, is Jim joining or not?
No.
All right. Well, you know, let's just launch and we'll hope for stragglers. So I will go ahead and adjourn Thursday, March 13th, the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee meeting at Town Hall and places beyond. So online, I see, who do I see? Well, I'll do my best. You know, Katie Sanders and Mark Pass and Charlie Bertle and Michael Kukta and, oh, there's John Nielsen. And who did I miss? Lois, there you
Powell.
are. Sorry. Yeah. Okay,
Lois and
Lois,
Max
and
and
in the
Sam.
room, please. Max and Sam? Okay. All right. Is there any public comment of which we are aware? Okay. None. Very good. I will accept an offer to approve the minutes of the February 13th, 2025 meeting minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Okay, very good. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? Okay, the minutes are approved. Thank you all very much. I guess we're gonna have to play a little loose with our discussion. Maybe Jim is out playing croquet, I don't know. But do I need to formally jigger the agenda? Anyone?
I'll
You don't
move
need
we
to formally for
postpone
me.
discussion on zoning proposals.
Okay. Is there a second to
Second.
postpone? Thank you very much.
Second.
In favor of postponing that discussion? Say aye.
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 Okay, any opposition? Any abstention? Okay, thank you all very much. All right, we're going to talk about the summary of state funding opportunities. I know Michael has some stuff. I know Dorjean sent us stuff. I know Charlie, I think you were going to add to that, but let's hear it.
Well, I can start. So Dorjean had sent us the information about the state of Wisconsin's home ARP funds. I mean, my reading of it is it's primarily designed for addressing homelessness. And although, you know, I would say that many LaPointe renters do experience housing instability, you know, moving 2 or 3 times a year doesn't meet the federal definition of housing instability, where you've got to kind of move 2 or 3 times in the past 60 days. So I'm not sure how many quote unquote qualifying residents we would have. And furthermore, we'd have to build at least 4 homes under that program. At least 70% of the units would have to be for, you know, what they define as people experiencing housing instability. So that would mean 3 of the 4. 2 of those residents would have to make less than 30% of the area median income, which would be $19,000 a year. And no one could make more than 80%, which would be no one could make more than $51,000 a year. So although there's some real positives to the program, I just don't know that it fits LaPointe as I understand it.
Well, I think unless we identify the people, we aren't going to really know for certain. I mean, we can surmise that could be the case, but I think it also could not be the case, that there would be people that would fit the parameters.
Well, Lois, that might well be true. But the original goal behind the project was to provide affordable workforce housing. And folks who are homeless probably aren't necessarily workforce related. And it would certainly limit the available units as far as the workforce housing was concerned. What with the limits for the 30% average median income.
Well, I think that's a good point. I still, I guess I'm thinking if there's a way that we can find extra money to help us move through things that, you know, we can do some studying to see who might be interested. But I think you're absolutely right about that, Charlie, that, you know, for the purpose of the program, the purpose of the building, not the funding program.
I have a question for Michael.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
When you read through that on there, what if we used the funds to help prepare the land and then bailed out of the program?
I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to dodge that one. I mean, I think, you know, one of the other things available is the WIDA infrastructure access loan, which would allow us some infrastructure and site preparation. So I think that would be a more appropriate program to, and I don't think we'd have to pay a lot of that. I don't know what, I haven't looked at the home program deeply enough to know if there are clawback provisions or how long you have to maintain these residences for their target population. But especially these days, I don't really want to mess with having to pay back the federal government.
Right.
That supposes there's anybody left in the federal government by the time we spend the money.
Yeah, there would be that. Well, do we want to then focus a little bit on the discussion redirected back toward the WIDA infrastructure stuff, which it's been a while since I've looked at it, and but I remember looking it over thinking that it actually has sort of evolved into something that sounds fairly promising for us.
Well, so again,
apply.
I'll jump in. I mean, based on my reading of the program, so, quick summary is it's a revolving loan fund. It's 1% interest.
That's right.
Which even in the town's difficult financial situation is hard to pass up if we could find the money to front. It can be used for both rental and ownership housing. It's got different income requirements for tenants as compared with owners, but I think both of those are well within the range that we've discussed. And it could be used for sewers, roads, curb gutter, sidewalks, streetlights. So I mean, a lot of the things that would get us access to the site and provide some of the necessities for the site. I didn't investigate whether water sources would be eligible or not, but that's one thing that we could look into. And there are set asides for rural regions and for communities under 10,000 population. So, we would probably be eligible for at least one, if not both of those set asides, which would mean, the realities with these state programs is cities tend to be more organized and have more resources to pursue this state funding. Smaller communities tend not to. So, the competition might be easier. The main barriers I found was we would have to meet certain zoning and comprehensive plan requirements. And again, I haven't gone into the weeds, but I'm pretty sure we meet the comprehensive plan requirements because we just updated those. I'm not sure what they're looking for in zoning. So that would have to be a discussion with someone at WIDA. And they also would require that the housing is built on land that is taxable. So that could be a barrier that would be hard for us to overcome. And finally, it seems that they require you to have a developer as a partner. And we don't have that at this point, and it's not clear to me whether the town could act as its own developer. But again, those are questions I see, and certainly if we made a call to WIDA, we could get those questions answered one way or the other before we would pursue any kind of application or authority for application from the town board. I'm done.
The deadline's coming up pretty quick, isn't it, Michael?
Well, it's not a deadline. The next cycle is supposed to open in April, and last time I looked on their website, they didn't have anything posted about when applications would become accepted.
Fair enough.
Anyone else with thoughts or observations on that, or next steps, or are we interested, or?
The way you describe it, Michael, I think that that's right in line with what we're trying to do. And I guess, would it hurt to ask the questions and get the answers that you posed. And if they come favorable to what we're looking for, let's go ahead and do an application.
Well, I'm certainly happy to call folks at WIDA and ask those questions and get a better timeline from them and better understanding as to, what qualifies in their mind and what doesn't. Given that they have set asides for smaller rural communities, maybe they understand that some of those requirements are not going to be able to be met. And I know the legislature likes to spend money they've allocated.
So a question about deadline. If they open in April, and April, I mean, the next time we potentially would meet is April 10th. Is that something that we need to act on probably tonight and just to go forward to the town board with asking permission if we can investigate, or I'm open to thoughts and suggestions.
I personally think it would be helpful to have a discussion with the town board. Max, their next meeting would be like the 25th or something like that.
Yes, 25th.
So Sam, I mean, I always like to defer to you when it comes to town board questions, but I think it would be good to have that discussion and, find out if there's any interest, find out what questions we would need to get answered to make town board members comfortable, that kind of thing.
Are you asking me or?
Yeah, I kind of would leave the floor open to you.
I mean, yeah, I think it's always a good idea to put the information in front of them and gauge their interest or support. I think more knowledge is better.
I don't watch every town board meeting and read the minutes and that kind of thing. Given that this is a revolving loan program, I mean, Charlie, you might have some sense of what kind of money we'd be looking for on the infrastructure side, but Sam, is there a capacity for the town to borrow money, at a 1% interest rate?
I know they're very close to their maximum. And with the Island Queen currently needing repairs, I would imagine that's gonna get them really close. I think there was $1 million left in their budget. Don't quote me on numbers, but
Did you hear about the Husky?
no.
Yeah, that's a new thing. It just happened. That is trash. And so we'll be looking to borrow some money to either,
Yeah.
it'll be 100 grand just to try to fix it, or
Mhm.
400 grand to buy a new one.
Mhm. I know that the budget is different with the Harbor Commission, but I think borrowing is all the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know, they're getting really close. So it's definitely worth having a discussion. At least so they have an understanding of potential for future.
So really then turns into just getting ourselves on the agenda if they can put us on for a quick conversation or presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, a question for you.
Yeah.
Is it mandated that the town receive the money for the fund or run the fund?
That is my read on it.
Okay,
Again, that can be something I can clarify, but typically these WIDA loans are for community, municipalities, communities of one sort or another.
So it's more a pass-through kind of thing, right?
Well, they need, they need a lead partner, I guess is the way to phrase it.
Sorry. I'll learn. Okay. It just, I mean, 1% is free money pretty much. Okay.
Well, so I will make a motion that we ask the town board to authorize the committee to pursue an application through WIDA's Infrastructure Access Loan Program.
Do we need to add bearing upon a discussion with the town board?
Well, the way these things were handled in the past were, because of the size of loan we'd probably be asking for, it's a discussion, and they can tell us to move forward or not, and they would have the ultimate final say as to whether we actually file an application.
Yeah.
But that way we would at least know if it's worth putting in the time and research to gather everything we need to gather. And if because of financial constraints, they just don't see a way, then we know it's not worth trying to figure out how to address the barriers and clarify the facts we would need to get clarified.
Okay. Is there a
Hey,
second?
Michael? Yeah, I get that. Yes, I'll second that so that we can have further discussion.
More discussion. Go ahead.
All right. The question is, if we make the application and our application is accepted, we still have the right to refuse to go the next step or accept any of those funds. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, it's
So
like a contract. Right?
Yeah, so making the application has no obligations to the town whatsoever at this point.
Correct. I mean, I think one example I can use from my experience is we filed an application with the DNR through their Knowles Nelson Scholarship Fund. And, unofficially, they were going to give us $500,000, but they needed a matching commitment from the town. And at the time, the town was pursuing a federal Department of Transportation grant to buy an electric ferry, ice-breaking ferry. And so they didn't have the money available in its debt capacity to commit $500,000. And so, we didn't move forward with that. And so I think, John, you're right on that. There's multiple places where we can get off the highway.
Okay, good.
Good question. Thanks. All right. All in favor of Michael's motion, please, unless there's further discussion. Sorry, didn't mean to cut anyone off. All right, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor of the Michael's motion, please say aye. Well,
Aye.
Okay, so the motion. Do I need to rephrase the entire motion? I think that that we as a committee propose to the town board that we make application and further the conversation, because at this point we don't encumber the monies of the town in any capacity to pursue housing. How'd I do?
It made sense to me.
Thank you. You're also generous. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, any abstentions? Any nays? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, next on our agenda is furthering the conversation. And Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong. My recollection is that you were hoping to have an answer from us about what kind of housing to pursue at this point.
Let me hold on that discussion and provide you with one more point of information for funding contacts. I received a email yesterday from the USDA who suggested I speak with Keegan McChesney, who's a senior program officer for housing and capacity building for the rural LISC. So when I get back, I'll arrange that, probably with Michael and whoever else might be interested. Now,
LISC is a good
going,
organization, so that's a good connection.
I worked with Les during college.
Are
So
they a
I,
good
I
organization?
concur.
Okay.
so another funding opportunity. As far as going on at this point in time, we've still got lots of stuff to juggle. I think it would be nice for us to decide whether we're going to do rental units or whether we're going to sell the units. That might be doable tonight. As far as whether they're modular, whether they're stick built, or whether they're multiplex, we're still gathering information. Mark sent me a text regarding the possibility of multiplex that are modular, and he's arranged for somebody to come visit. Mark, maybe you could step in with that information.
Sure. So the conversation started with Jeff Corey at One Roof regarding a project that they have going, completed in Duluth called Plover Place. And as some of you may have seen that or seen references to it, it's up on Central Entrance between downtown and the mall. And it is two sets of dormitory style buildings that are pleasing to the eye and pretty efficiently built. So I called the people at Ideal Homes in Barnum, or they were in Barnum, who were the people that they purchased these through. And it turned out to be a guy named Aidan Barchand, whose company has recently bought this. And Jeff told me that there had been some hiccups along the way during the construction process. And those apparently have been ironed out since the new owners came on board. But they are currently in the process of among other things they're working on, doing a pretty good size build in Grand Marais. And it is multiple stories, and it all gets brought in pieces and piled up and assembled. They have the capacity to be the developer as well as the supplier, and they have some enthusiasm for it, and they like working on affordable things. So he has agreed to come over toward the end of April and meet with anybody that would like to meet, and bring some examples of what they can do, and look at our site and see if they can partner with us. So they would be in a position to provide, to build the houses and help design it and help develop it. So it seems like they have a pretty wide range of experience. So I think it's too good an opportunity to pass.
Mark,
Very exciting.
that's good. Do you know what kind of units they're building in Grand Marais? Because I know we talked somewhat about Plover Place last month, and your description is right. It's very much dormitory style, which I'm not sure really would work on the island for workforce.
No,
So-
and so they are able to, they built those just the way that One Roof asked.
Wanted them. Yeah.
But they can make them into 1, 2, 3 bedroom apartments. Or any combination of those, and that's what they're doing on Grand Marais.
I say bring them on.
Yeah. So
You can use my ferry card to bring them across.
I will. Your free one.
I
Anyway.
have to. I have a couple sitting around. I'll dig one up and mail it to you.
All right. All right. Well, someday you might come back. You don't want to get rid of all of your ferry cards.
No, not all of them.
It's kind of the plan. I'll still have mine.
So in any case, I will speak to him at the beginning of April and find out what kind of dates he has and kind of try to come up with some options, and I'll probably we can circulate those on an email and pick a date. So that's my story.
It's a great story.
Well,
So
I hope it has a happy ending.
yeah, me too. And several of us. Is there then, I mean, so we'll hear more about this in a couple weeks. Do we want to discuss more of the management model things?
Well,
that have
you know,
come up?
Charlie had asked the question of whether it's rental or ownership, and
Right.
you know, I'm going to be optimistic or presumptuous here. I mean, I think we have, you know, except for the actual development process, I think we have the ownership thing well enough in hand, with the assumption that Czech Built would be willing to acquire, you know, parcels for the land trust. So the challenge becomes, how do we arrange the development and management of rental? And you know, my recollection is our previous discussions are we would prefer to start with rental, just because we think it fills more of a need. So I'm I'm agreement, if I'm remembering kind of the unofficial consensus, is that we should do what we can to make that as viable as we believe ownership would be through Czech Built.
That was my recollection as well, Michael, that it just seemed like there was a group consensus that there is more of a need right now for rentals than ownership. And we were gonna look at that. I'd also like to continue pitching for consideration. Keep in mind rent to own. So if we do rental properties, let's see if there's some way at all of giving those renters the opportunity to buy into the property that they're renting.
Well, that, I mean, I'm just trying to keep different saucers flying through the air. If we commit to that, then are we cutting ourselves off from the possibility of the WIDA conversation?
No, because they will support both rental and ownership
Models, despite the part where the loan would have to stay on the tax roll.
Well, it says the property, I mean, again, if I'm reading it correctly, and I could be incorrect, you know, my reading is the property has to be taxable. So
The property, but
that's,
So,
I mean,
I'm
that's
sorry.
a question I need to clarify with them.
Okay. Okay.
Clearly, I mean, right now the land is not taxable. Depending on how we move forward, it very well could be put on the tax roll or not, depending on what the ultimate I shouldn't say, depending what the solution is that we can work out. So that's just something I need to clarify. But certainly they support rental.
all right. Okay, thank you.
And that's gonna affect what kind of structure you've got as far as managing or owning the rental properties. I mean, ideally, we'd look for a nonprofit LLC which has a 403B or whatever letters I'm looking for as a charitable organization, so we can enjoy gifts from island residents or other folks and still manage the funds. So,
Very good.
but if we've got the money for development and it needs to be something different, then we can think about working through that. But we can't choose until we know what our model is going to be.
So Charlie, can I ask you a question? I don't know the answer to this, in trying to figure out what management options we have. Do you know, is there a community housing development organization anywhere in the area? That's a legal type of definition. And I was wondering if you've run across it in Checkbolt or some other discussion.
A CHOP would be probably Northwest Community. Certainly the Ashland County Area Housing Association. And One Roof might even qualify as that. I'm not certain though.
What was the name of the Ashland place?
The Ashland Community Housing Authority, or the Ashland County Housing Authority.
Their housing authority.
That's the one that's in Mellon.
Yeah. Okay.
They're manage. They own the affordable housing on the island at the moment,
Right.
but necessarily interested in managing what we built. So
okay.
All right. Yeah.
I think all of those things can be readdressed as we start trying to figure out what it is we're building. So
the question that we were trying to address here is whether we were going to focus on, in this phase, doing rental housing or housing that we would help facilitate the occupants to purchase. Is that the question?
I believe so.
So, John, I think that I heard you address this and make some reference of rent to own. I don't know if this is anything more than just my gut reaction, but it seems to me if we develop, I don't know, 10 or 12 or whatever combination of units, whether it be in a multi-unit building or some single family houses adjacent to it or in combination with it, it feels like first development should be just for rentals. And if it feels like it would sort of muck up the water if part of the option, if we have some of the people that are living there that are becoming owners and some that aren't, and that all of a sudden mucks up all of the management dynamics and maybe the social dynamics in those places as well. My vision has been that we would get some rental housing going, and then perhaps our next effort, if we live long enough, would be to help try to build some standalone places that people could own themselves and that we could assist with. It feels like it would muddy the water if we were to have this sort of second agenda that the project that we're working on, some people would be offered the opportunity to buy them as they rent.
Well, maybe what we need to settle on is, we will stick with that original plan for like phase one, and we can call what we're in presently phase one. And as we move forward, if it sounds like it's something that, I mean, I'm in a sense agreeing with Mark. I loved the idea of the rent to own thing that you brought up previously, John. I wonder if we just need something initially to count as a success before we branch again.
This is Michael. I would say, John, if you've got time, research like what that might look like, because I think we're still early enough in the process that since we don't have a management model yet, we don't know exactly what kind of housing we would build. And certainly there are advantages of rent to own, from wealth building and that kind of thing. If we're building single family, that becomes, my guess is rent to own becomes more viable, as opposed to if we're building multifamily. I think the complexities that Mark was talking about definitely become an issue.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
So if you can research it and say, try to get a sense of what that might look like, I think it's worth at this point looking at all of our options, because we don't know what it's going to mean, what all of these approaches would mean for cash flow and that kind of thing.
John, I'm gonna chime in too. If you're gonna set up a rent for own thing, figure out how to keep it permanently affordable. So it doesn't appreciate at market rate.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So it would have to clearly go back to the same land use restrictions that the land trusts would have on it, so that, once you get into them, you can't immediately flip them and turn them into short-term rentals, etc.
Right.
True.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. All right. So where are we? Have we come to a comfortable enough conclusion to move forward?
Well, there's one other thing, and I don't have an agenda in front of me, so maybe I'm jumping, but there's one other discussion that had come up in the last month, and that was a housing authority. And I know multiple people have talked with Ashland County Housing Authority, and they're not interested in managing rentals. And Max did some research and found out that I was wrong, and that towns actually do have the right under state statute to create housing authorities, and that state statute also allows housing authorities to extend beyond their what's the term they use? Their area of operation, their designated area of operation. And so that begs the question, could LaPointe create its own housing authority to become a developer / manager? Or B, could the city of Ashland's housing authority, which is separate from Ashland County, or the Washburn Bayfield County Housing Authority extend its area of operation to the island? And there are some geographic restrictions in state statute, et cetera, but there are some windows of opportunity, perhaps. Go, Charlie. I'll stop.
I already tried hooking the Bayfield County Housing Authority, and Jennifer said no.
Okay.
We could certainly try the Ashland City Housing Authority and see whether Melissa or her board has interest in that. but we should probably come up with a little more as far as a plan goes before we start talking. Probably the best solution would be to put it on the back of the town, but we just don't have enough people to make that work. So those are my thoughts.
Intriguing conversation.
Well, when you
possibility.
unpack, if you could, contact the city of Ashland and find out if there's any interest or if they'd be legally able to do that. I'm a big fan of like just check every dead end, and sometimes those dead ends are not dead ends.
Actually, I mean, well, okay. I was going to say that's something that I could do. I don't know the contact person. It sounds like you do, Charlie, but if that's something that I could go ahead. I don't know if anyone else does.
I can check with Melissa when I get back.
Okay. Thank you. I'm not trying to hurry you through your vacation, for heaven's sake.
Oh, you can't. That I can hear the tarpon in the ship canal behind me, so it's all good.
All right, good.
So along those lines, Max, can I ask you? I know the state has this innovation fund or innovation grant that they are trying to get communities to collaborate on things. If you could contact the state and find out if this is the kind of collaboration that they might support.
Okay, sure.
Anytime we can get free money, I'm willing to chase it.
Sure.
And so, Michael, the collaboration just needs to be potentially between like the state and another government entity.
Two local units of government. So it could be municipality to municipality, county to municipality. And again, my understanding of it is that there's an unofficial set aside for towns and communities under 5,000.
Because my question is, if we found collaboration with Washburn or with someone else, would that be more attractive necessarily?
Well, if I heard Charlie correctly, Washburn's not interested.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And there might be some legal challenges because, they're still in Bayfield County and the island is not.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm hearing that we need to make more phone calls before we can conclude the conversation about management models.
Yep, management models are going to take a while to put together. So
okay. So then, as I build future agendas, I will just include this, and we will continue the discussion as it evolves. Okay, we'll have more answers next month than we do right now. Okay. We're still waiting to hear from Mr. Peters from his inside perspective on AH1 zoning. Is this something that we need to address more urgently, or can it wait until our next meeting agenda? And I'll try to track down Jim.
It can wait till our next meeting agenda. The town is putting together the AH1. Having spoken with Ed, he didn't think that the planned community was going to work at all for that. So, seeing as they're revising the system, they were leaning towards the AH1.
So if I understand you right, then when you talked to Ed did not feel as though that a current zoning that did not include the AH1, he didn't feel like there was a way in which we could get our plan development through conditional zoning the way it is now?
Correct.
Okay,
Interesting. Okay. Sounds like belts and suspenders to me, but I'm not the one reading the zoning law. So,
yeah,
okay.
that's kind of what I was thinking too, is that, well, if we can get it done through conditional use permit.
Yeah.
Why not go that route?
Well, at this point, it's moot because they're doing it. So let's- we got a little bogged down in this discussion last meeting, so maybe we should try and avoid going down that rabbit hole again.
Okay, then we are up to our next round of public comment, unless we need to tie up any loose ends that we've touched upon. All right. Our next meeting date would be April, if we're going to continue with the second Thursday, it's April 10th at 5 p.m. Is that workable for people?
Affirmative for John.
Yeah, somehow or another, we may be in transit, so it might be from a hotel, but we'll see.
All
Yeah,
right.
and it's my birthday
Aw.
so, and we'll be out of town 2 days prior to that, so
Okay.
I may have to Zoom, but I'll try to be available.
All right. Sounds good. Then that's what we will shoot for. And I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion
Thanks,
to
Mark.
adjourn.
Thanks, Sam. I'll take Mark's as the second. And if there are no abstentions and no disagreement, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Have
you all.
a good month, Paul.
Bye,
Good luck.
everybody.
Enjoy the
Bye,
vacation.
everyone.
And I'll see you at the town board meeting.
Woohoo.